Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, So Sarah Sewed. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my MakeNine for 2025. Welcome back to my channel if you're a subscriber. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Sarah. I live in Melbourne with my two sons and I'm a music teacher. I'm currently on school holidays and I'm thinking a lot about what I'm going to be making in the year ahead. So I really enjoy participating in the MakeNine challenge. This is a very gentle, personal challenge that some people like to participate in to keep them motivated on what they would like to make for the year ahead. So for me personally, I wanted to include on my MakeNine all patterns that I have never made before, things that I maybe need a little bit of a push to make. So then putting them on my MakeNine will hopefully help me to come back to the list and to remind myself that this is something I wanted to achieve this year. Some of the plans are quite simple and then some of them are more ambitious. I've got a mixture of sewing and knitting in my MakeNine this year, 6 sewing items and 3 knitting, and my sewing items also include 1 quilt. So I'll show you my grid and I'm going to work through this from top row to bottom row, left to right of each row. So my top row, the very first thing on the list is something that I've been thinking about for a really long time. It's the Tamarama set by Swimstyle Patterns. I actually ordered the fabric for this set back in 2023, thinking that this would be a great summer set for the upcoming summer then. Unfortunately, the fabric didn't arrive until much later than summer. In fact, when I decided to make this project, I actually ordered 2 what I hoped would be complementary fabrics. So 2 different prints, thinking I could mix and match the 2 different prints within the shirt and the shorts that are the Tamarama set. So I'll put a picture up of what the Tamarama set looks like. It is an oversized shirt and you can either choose to make shorts or pants to go with it. I love the idea of this for just a really relaxed kind of casual summer wear. And as I mentioned, I was hoping to use my 2 sort of complementary fabrics to make each of the elements of the pattern. I was going to make the shorts and the top. So that is still my plan. However, one of the 2 fabrics I ordered never eventuated. So I've got this beautiful fabric. I'll put a picture in of what I do have. And I've just gone to Spotlight and I've bought just a plain green linen cotton blend that I'm hoping will work well with this fabric. So the Tamarama shirt has like a button placket, it's got a back yoke, it's got a collar. So I'm thinking that maybe I'll be able to use that contrasting green fabric for maybe the button band, the under collar, that kind of thing. Because I would like to have some of the fabric left over for when I make the shorts. So we'll just have to wait and see how many of the pieces I can squeeze out, because I've only got 2 meters of the fabric and I think it will be a little bit of a tight squeeze. The second item on my list is also a pattern that's been out for a while and it's been something that I've been wanting to make for a while, and it is the Shelby dress by True Bias. Every time I see a version of this dress on Instagram, I think it's so lovely and I'd love to make one for myself. So this is a dress or a romper and it can be made in 2 different lengths, either short or long, and it's got a V neckline and princess seams from the shoulders all the way down. So I love the look of this. It's also got a tie that you can do up to bring in that waistline at the back. Now, originally when I put this on my MakeNine, I was thinking that I'd want to make the short version, a short dress. However, having seen a lot of the longer versions recently on Instagram when I'm looking at the hashtag and thinking about my personal style and what I feel most comfortable wearing, I think that the long version will actually get more wear and be a more practical outfit, even though I know it'll cost more money in terms of fabric. So I'm looking forward to making this one. I'm thinking I'd love to make it in like a very bold, colorful print, because I do love sewing with that kind of thing. I don't have a large stash of fabric in my collection, certainly not enough fabric to make a long dress. So I will be looking at fabrics to choose from to make this one. Hopefully soon, because it is the sort of dress that I'd like to wear in the warmer months. The third item in my MakeNine is the Tatjana trousers by Just Patterns. I absolutely love the way these look in all of the photos and I think these would be a great addition to my work wardrobe. I'm often wishing I had some more tailored work pants to choose from to wear to work. I do have a couple of pairs of pants that I bought ready to wear that I do wear to work, but they're very low-waisted and I just don't find them very comfortable. So I'm hoping that this pair of pants will fit a real hole in my wardrobe. I'll read you what the description says about them on the Just Patterns website. She says the Tatjana trousers have a high rise, soft pleats, a straight leg and a floor grazing length. The front features 2 flat pleats on each side, slant pockets and a fly. On the back there are 4 darts to provide shaping. There are optional buttoned single welt pockets on the back that are functional and also provide visual interest. The waistband has belt loops and an extension closed with an internal button and hooks and bars. So I really like the fact that that does have those belt loops. I think this will look fantastic with belted, but it also looks great without a belt, as you can see in the pictures. And I'm hoping that this will really suit me and that I'll enjoy making it. I have purchased the fabric to make these. I put an order in with My Design over the summer while they were having their 10% off sale. And I have ordered a Cupro linen blend fabric in an ink blue. So I'm hoping this will have a really lovely drape to it, but also that linen will provide that little bit of structure to not make it too slippery to sew. So I'm looking forward to making these and I'll let you know how I go. Row 2 I have dedicated to my knitting plans. I've put 3 knitting plans on my MakeNine. I'm trying to stay realistic and I know that this is an achievable number of things for me to knit this year. So there's a nice variety in here of knitted items. The first one is a shawl by Stephen West of West Knits. Now last year, my absolute favorite knitting project of the year was one of his shawls. It was the Hyber Knit Along project for 2023, and that was called the Glittering Snowscape Shawl. And what I loved about it was just that all these different sections and every section was different and there was interest throughout. Now, this year's Hyber Knit Along, or the one that was, designed for the end of 2024, is called the Glowhair Frost Shawl. Now, this one looks quite similar in the fact that it has these sections that keep growing, but I suppose that was part of the appeal for me. I knew that I loved last year's shawl so much that I was probably going to enjoy this one as well. For this one, you need 3 different skeins of 4-ply yarn, and he recommends a fade for those and then matching mohairs to go along, which will give a really beautiful texture to the shawl. Now, I have put an order in with a shop in New Zealand called Get Flocked, and they had some kits they put together for this shawl, and I wanted one that had pinks in it. I am someone who wears shawls a lot. I'll usually have one with me at work. You just never know when you're going to get cold and want to throw a shawl on. And last year I often found myself wishing that I had a shawl that was in kind of a pink colorway. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to make one. So I haven't received the kit yet. I'm hoping it'll come soon, but I'm still working on last year's knitting projects anyway, so I'm not quite ready to start this one, but I am looking forward to doing this one soon. It will be the next thing that I cast on once I finish my Whitmore cardigan that was on my 2024 MakeNine. Speaking of my 2024 MakeNine, something that I put on there that I'd never done before that I really enjoyed the experience of was colorwork knitting. So I've put some more on for this here, but a much more manageable and small project. So I've decided to make myself a cowl, and this one is called the Cold Hearts Cowl by Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks. So it's just a 2-color cowl and it's knit with a DK weight yarn. There are options in this pattern for a tighter or a looser fit, and also there are different height options. So this one looks really fun. There's also a matching beanie pattern available, so I think that would be really fun to make a matching cowl and beanie for the winter. So I'm looking forward to this one being my winter knitting project. And my 6th item on my MakeNine and my 3rd knitting item is a garment, and it is the Stripe Hype Sweater by Veronika Lindberg. Now, this one just looks really comfortable. I love the drop shoulder and that relaxed look of this jumper. And I also love the possibilities of the different colored stripes you can use. She has put in the description that it's a great scrap buster for all your DK weight yarn scraps. but I actually don't really have any of those. Most of the projects I've knit in the past have been fingering weight yarns and mohair. So I don't really have appropriate yarn scraps that I can make this out of. But perhaps once I've made that cowl and beanie, which is also knit in DK weight, I might have a few that I can draw upon. This one I chose just because I really like the look of it and I think it could be a really comfortable and versatile piece for the wardrobe. So moving now into the bottom row of my MakeNine, number 7 is the newest addition to the MakeNine. I've had most of these things chosen for quite some time, but I just wasn't quite sure what to put as my last item. And so this is my most recent addition. I had something else in this square, but I changed it out for this, and that is a bomber jacket. So I was watching someone on YouTube talking about what they were wearing that day. It wasn't something that they'd made themselves, but I just thought this bomber jacket looked really, really cool. And I thought that could be a really good addition to my wardrobe. It's something you can dress up and down. And I don't really have a lot of jackets in my wardrobe. I've got a lot of cardigans I've knit, but I don't really have a lot of jackets. So I thought a bomber jacket could really fill a gap as well. So I had a look around for different bomber jackets, and the one that stood out to me was a pattern by Bel'Etoile, and it's called the Clea bomber jacket. So this is a fully lined bomber jacket and it's got a zip opening. You can use the main fabric for the hem and the cuffs and then add elastic to tighten those up, or you can go with a ribbing for those sections instead, which is what I'll probably do. And it's designed for woven fabrics. The one that I saw this woman wearing in this YouTube style video was a longer bomber jacket, and that's something I might consider, is whether I'll lengthen this pattern. I'll have a think about that throughout the year. This is, as I said, the least thought out pattern of my MakeNine. I don't have any kind of idea of what fabrics I will use, but I did want to put it on the list as I do feel like it is something different, something I don't have, and something that I could get a lot of wear out of. Number 8 on my list is my quilt for the year. So last year I made the Cedar Quilt Company Standing Tall quilt, and that used pre-cuts, so a jelly roll or fabric strips. And I really enjoyed making that quilt, and I thought I would look at some other quilts that also used those pre-cuts. And I found the Madeline quilt by Penelope Handmade. This one I feel like looks really nice and easy. She describes it as a fast and fun, scrap-friendly project. There are a number of options for the size you can make for this one, and yes, you can use a jelly roll or jelly rolls depending on the size quilt that you're making. Last year when I made my quilt, I thought, gee, I'd really love to make a Christmas quilt. And I thought about making it for the Christmas we just had, but there really just wasn't the time. So this year I've decided that the quilt I'm going to make will be a Christmas themed quilt. I just love the coziness that a quilt brings to the living space or a bedroom. And I think I'd really love to have a Christmas one on this couch in the weeks leading up to Christmas. So I've actually already ordered my fabric for this one. I ordered a jelly roll, or a roly-poly as this one is called. And the one that I chose is called A Perfect Christmas, and it's designed by Kayla Naylor for Riley Blake Designs. And I love the colors in there. They're just your classic Christmas colors, those beautiful reds and greens and some golds. And I really love the pictures in there as well. So this one, you can probably guess, is inspired by the song The 12 Days of Christmas. So you've got your pears in the pear tree, and you can pick out characters from the song in some of the fabric design. So that one is on its way to me. This is a project I won't be doing for a while, perhaps towards September is when I'll start thinking about this one. I will still need to choose a background fabric. So what I'll do is I'll actually take this fabric into a fabric store and choose a fabric, a neutral that I think will go really nicely with the design. And so my last project on my MakeNine is back. I think this is the 3rd time it's been on my MakeNine, but this is the year I am determined to make it happen. And that is a quilt coat. Now I'm going to be using the Tamarack jacket pattern by Grainline Studio, and I've made a decision to keep this as simple as I can. So I think one of the reasons that I put it off in other years was because I had these grand visions of making this complicated quilt design and then turning that into my jacket. But I think for this version, I'm just going to choose a beautiful linen or something like that, quilt that, and have just a plain fabric quilt. And I don't need a fancy design. If I really enjoy the process and I really enjoy wearing it, then I might consider making another one day down the track. But this year, I just really want that quilted coat just for the practicality of having a quilted coat, really. In the winter, the jacket I wear, it's a fantastic one. It's a raincoat. It's very warm. I bought it in Europe over 17 years ago. And so I love that I wear it all the time. I love how much use I've gotten out of it. It still looks new. It hasn't really worn at all. And it's completely practical for, you know, being outside, going to my son's soccer matches or training. Completely perfect. Great pockets, everything. But there's one event every year that I wish I had a different jacket. And that is the Anzac Day Dawn service that happens on the 25th of April here. So as the name suggests, this service happens at dawn, or actually before dawn in the case of the one that I go to. And it's a service to reflect on and express gratitude for the service and sacrifice of the Australian Defence Force over many years. It's a service that one of my school choirs sings at. So we are singing in the dark, in a very solemn atmosphere, and I'm conducting. And the coat that I have is not appropriate because it makes that kind of raincoat noise. So if I'm moving my arms around, it just doesn't sound good. So I've been suffering for the last few years and just not being able to wear a jacket because it's just too noisy to wear. So I don't want to be freezing this year. So that is my deadline for making this quilt coat this year. So I'm hoping, because I've decided against that patchwork design in this quilt coat, that I will actually just choose the fabric and get on with it. And I've got that deadline in mind as well. The good news is that I do have a couple of weeks holiday leading up to Anzac Day this year. So I think I've got 2 weeks of holiday in April. So if I haven't done it by then, I'll be working pretty hard over Easter to get it done. And that is my MakeNine for 2025. I'm quite excited to get started on all of those. I think the Tamarama set will be up first because I've been thinking about that one for quite some time, and it is a very seasonally appropriate thing to be making at the moment. So hopefully I'll be able to check in soon with you and show you that I'm well underway with that one. I hope that you're enjoying the start of the year and enjoying that feeling of, you know, making the plans for the year and thinking about the sorts of things you'd like to achieve. I'd love to know if you've made any of the patterns that I have talked about today, and if you've got any advice for me, as these are all completely new to me patterns, and so any advice will be fantastic. Thank you very much for watching today, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.